All right, so I'm going ahead to share my screen now. Mm, mm. So guys, please confirm that you can see my screen.
Yes, it's visible from here.
All right, excellent. Thank you all so much. Good evening, and thank you once again for joining our webinar today. So we're kicking off straight away, and the topic for today is strategy for job search and next steps in your career. So there's a reason why I'm actually doing it at this particular time, because some of my colleagues reached out to me, letting them know that they need advice on next steps on their career and what they can do. So I just felt that okay, instead of attending to everybody's questions or clarification individually, let me just host a webinar where we can address all these issues and give an opportunity for people to ask questions. So the session is being recorded so that those that missed it can always have the opportunity to watch the replay. So that's the reason for this. So we're going right into it. So here we are going to talk about a practical guide to position yourself for better opportunities for a meaningful career. So that's the topic that we have. So before I go ahead, I'd like to introduce myself. Let me go back. My name is Segun. I'm a customer experience leader with over 10 years of experience. I have experience in various fields from e-commerce to fintech to logistics and supply chain, music streaming, and BPO customer service outsourcing. So my experience spanned across most of these industries. So based on this experience, I've been able to develop myself to be able to advise people on career related issues and things of that nature. So my passion is over the past 4 years, I have the passion of empowering professionals, to get clarity on their career because even when you go to my LinkedIn, it's clearly stated, what I do and the passion that I have. The past 4 years, I've helped over 300 people review their resume and help them land better roles. And I've also personally mentored about 50 plus professionals and guided them on their career. I'm very passionate about empowering professionals to discover their potentials and build meaningful careers and achieve consistent growth and development. So that's actually my passion. So moving along into what we have for today. Because most of the guys that were reaching out to me, a lot of them were just trying to say, "Oh, I'm looking for a better job." So, but the real question here is that, what are you doing differently? How are you positioning yourself for a better opportunity? Because everyone can say, okay, they are looking for a better job, but you need to sit down and ask yourself, what exactly are you doing differently from other people? Standing out, there needs to be a clear strategy, on how you're going to stand out as a professional. Do you understand? Because another challenge that I know that a lot of people face, especially in this part of the world, is that you study a particular course, you have experience in another area, and you're supposed to look for another job. So you need to actually kind of find a balance between what you study, what your job experience is, and the type of job you're looking for. So those are some of the things that I'm going to clarify on this call and give people clarity on what they can do. So I'm creating clear strategies for people and how they can effectively manage that. Okay. So let's move to the next slide. So now, job search strategies. So what are the action? Be clear on your target. So now, when you are doing a job search, you need to be clear of the type of jobs you are looking for. And some of the skills are also transferable, which is my second point. For some people, they might have about 2 or 3 years or 4 years experience in customer service, and they are targeting customer service roles, which is not bad. But at the same time, what I also advise is that some of the skills and experiences that you have in customer service, are actually transferable. And as much as maybe you love customer service and you're passionate about it, sometimes the job market does not give you that luxury to focus on only one area. So what I do advise people to do is sometimes is that you can have target about 2 or 3 roles that you're interested in. So if, for example, you have experience in customer service, you can have a CV that's tailored to customer service and also have another one that is tailored to operations and admin. Because the truth is that most of the things you do in customer service, some of the skills are transferable. So I really don't want people to kind of like block their mind and say, oh, this is not a customer service job. I'm not applying for it. The point is that some of the things that you do as a customer service rep, do you understand, are things that you would do as an operation and admin person. So if is that so and also an area of interest for you, it's also better you explore it so that once you see opportunities that are in line with those other directions, you can actually pursue it. This goes to say for other type of roles and professions, do you understand? But I just wanted to use this as an example to like drive the point. Do you understand? So, but the point is that you need to be clear on the type of roles that you are looking for. That's the first clear strategy. Number two is that do not limit yourselves. Your skills are transferable, and depending on the industry, you can find a way to, cross sell and match those skills. Do not limit yourself to just one role, then which is what I was talking about also because like I said, especially in this part of the world, the job market is very saturated and limiting yourself to just one part of the role may not really be the best because you know within yourself that you can do other things. Do you understand? So it's always better to really look at your skills and ability. And this also goes back to knowing yourself, understanding the types of things that interest you and what you can pick up fast. So do not limit yourself to one goal. Stay open to other opportunities and areas that you can actually, or also work. So moving along, yeah, action steps. So I talked about also having multiple resumes. You know, the years of you having one type of resume and you'll be blasting it to all different type of applications. That time has passed. In fact, what they even expect of you now is that you should even have specific resumes for each role, which you can do. But to as kind of like stream it down a bit for people, depending on the jobs that you're targeting, maybe 3 or 4, have specific resume targeted to those roles. So that's also another point that you need to do. So even if you're a quality assurance person, for example, and you've had experience in customer service, let's say about 3 or 4 years before you became a QA, please know that you can still apply for a customer service team lead role. Do you understand? Or even a customer service manager. Do not limit yourself into the area of your specialty because just like I said, most of those skills are actually transferable. Do you understand? So that's the way I really want people to think because you can actually do these things because all the things that you need to get effective in those roles are skills that you have actually learned over the years. But because sometimes people may be afraid if they don't have the experience or they don't have the knowledge. No, you have seen your managers deliver on tasks over the years. You have seen the way they strategize and all that. It's part of the experience that you need that are actually transferable. So that's also giving other people another example of how they can diversify and not, streamline their job experience to just one particular aspect. Okay. So moving on to the next one is about your LinkedIn. Your profile should be clear and communicate who you are and what type of job you are looking for. This is so important because once you open your LinkedIn profile, at a first glance, people should already know that okay, this is this person, this is what he's trying to do, and these are the types of role he's open to. So I'm not sure if we'll have the time to go into in depth into LinkedIn today, but it's just something that you need to be clear on. So to get a guide on this, you can look at other people's LinkedIn profiles on LinkedIn, look at how they structure their profile, and take some tips from there on how you can actually, create your LinkedIn properly. And at first glance, once someone sees your profile, they know what you're about and what type of jobs that you'll be targeting. So, doing all that into LinkedIn, that one is a full class on its own, and wouldn't want to go deep into that. So, so the next step here is that applying for jobs on job portal. The truth is, a lot of people are saying, okay, they're looking for job, help me, connect me, and all that. Yes, connections do help. Do you understand? And people have gotten jobs through connection. But you as an individual, you cannot be as passionate, we cannot be more passionate about your success than you. Do you understand? You need to actually look for these jobs yourself. So what I advise people to do is that at least have at least let's say 5 websites that you check on every day for the job for jobs that you are looking for, specific to the industries and areas that you are looking for. So at least I would just say five, so that it doesn't get overwhelming. And in those five, every day, even if it's 1 hour, check out the ones that you're interested in. Save the links for the ones that okay you want to apply for. Take a few minutes, apply, then move on to your other tasks for the day. Because most of the time, people are always looking for a shortcut, somebody that can connect. I'm not saying that does not work because even I too have benefited from that too. But the truth is that you yourself have to actually put in the work. And the people that also even try to help you or support you, do you understand? They need to actually see that you are putting in the work. Do you understand? Because if they see that you are actually putting in the work, they'll be more encouraged to help you. Do you understand? So that's another thing I'd like to mention. Moving on. So these are like the top um, job portals that I recommend, especially for those seeking for jobs in Nigeria. Is Hot Jobs Niger, Jobberman, my job mag, and this Nigerian job.com, then LinkedIn. Indeed, we had a conversation about that thing some weeks back. That indeed is not doesn't really give us as much value as we have thought, and I have also noticed that too. So I think some of the jobs on Indeed are, I'm not sure that all of them are properly verified. So not like you can't still get job from Indeed, but your time is very valuable. Do you understand? And I want you to spend your time on websites and places where I know that you'll be able to get more um feedbacks, results, and all that. But as for these five websites, at least I can say that okay, especially Jobberman, My Job Mark, and Hot Nighter Jobs, those three, I can confirm that they post job regularly, and a lot of the jobs on those websites are actually genuine. So LinkedIn too is also another good place, but I'll still talk more about that as we go along. Okay, so now talking about LinkedIn, your profile needs to be updated, just like I said. And at a single glance, we should be able to see what type of profession you're in, what type of jobs you're interested in, what type of opportunities that you'll be open to. Do you understand? Having a proper profile picture that speaks professionally speaks volume. Another important thing I need to talk about LinkedIn is that your open to work settings must be such in such a way that it will notify you of the jobs that you're interested in. So to do that, you can just go to your open to work settings and set it in a way that customer service jobs or team lead role jobs are notifying you of those jobs in your locations. So immediately those just pops up. You're going to get an email notification and you'll be one of the first people to apply. So those settings are actually very important. So another tip is that you need to follow recruiters aggressively. So recruiters, what do they do? They are the ones in charge of getting people to, get jobs in companies. And to make life easy for themselves, they just post job vacancies on LinkedIn and they share each other's posts too. So if you are someone that is actually actively recruiting, I will tell you that at least over 500 of your followings, do you understand, on LinkedIn should be recruiters. I learned this from one of my former colleagues too. So if you're actively looking, those are some of the things you need to do. So if maybe you're following on LinkedIn, it's just maybe your friends and all that. Do you understand? Please add recruiters as a huge part of it. And also you need to also follow people in your industry because they post training opportunities, internships, and things of that nature. Do you understand? So another thing that will also help you, especially for people that are actively looking, you need to actually also post on LinkedIn at least once a week. It can be more because I would even recommend that for someone that's actively looking, you should be posting at least twice. But if you don't have what to post, I don't want to put that pressure on you too also. That's why I just put once a week. So the main question now moves that what can I post? Number one, you need to post about your industry. What are the things that are trending in your industry that you have insight about? Do you understand? So if you need inspiration on what you can post, you have to visit my profile. I can check some of the posts I've done and how I'm able to relate some of my personal experiences with my professional work and post it. Because some of those posts sometimes they spark engaging conversations on your profile and people get to notice you. Do you understand? So, and to be honest, that job and big break that you're looking for may just be from that post that you did. So that's also another strategy that you would help. Okay, so what next? What next? Landing after landing the job. So it's very important that continuous learning is important. So this is what I want to speak to. So, especially for people that maybe you're currently working in an organization, and for some reason or the other, they're letting you know that okay, are letting you go, due to maybe the client pulling out, or maybe the company cannot pay so number of staffs. If I'm being honest with you, throughout the course of my career, I've been in that situation a lot where I was working somewhere, and the next day, they just said, um, the company can no longer this and your services are no longer needed. If I'm being honest, there is nothing like job security. You're only secured for the next 30 days. That's the truth. So there's really nothing like that. So that's why you need to actually constantly improve yourself and not be in a situation where you don't have a choice. Do you understand? So at every job, even if you eventually get your big break and you get your new job, glory to God. Do you understand? Just ask yourself that you really don't want to be in this situation again where you now have to be, searching for a job and all that. Because your job is only secure as the next 30 days. That's just the truth. So what am I trying to say here? Continuous learning is important. You need to actually set aside maybe a time or some form of resources into improving yourself. It may not even necessarily have to be money immediately because there are actually a lot of free resources online. But you need to actually do that so that you're not in a situation where the job is gone and you don't have something else you can fall back on. Do you understand? So another skill that you also need to develop is OI automation. Do you understand? Data analysis. Do you understand? These are skills that can help you on the job. Do you understand? And also can even give you a defining edge, maybe when targeting a new role. Another thing that's also important is that certifications in your industry. If you're in accounting, customer service, data analysis, or depending on the industry, you need to actually find out, okay, what are actually the certifications that are actually necessary in this industry I want to go into and start, try and get into certifications. For some people, it might be okay, they need to further education in terms of a master's degree. The point is that you should actually have that plan. Because, for example, now you could actually get the opportunity to get your dream job and all that, and they say, sorry, it's only for people that have masters. It will be very painful for you that, just because you didn't have that, you now not be able to get that opportunity. So please, please, and please, it's not just about even getting that better job. Do you understand? It's also about the next step. Look beyond that. So that's what the point is speaking to here. Moving along. Time. Okay. So I talked about automation, data analysis. Um. Oh, sorry. A second, please. Data analysis and what things that you need to do. Okay, skills you need to develop. So yeah, so basically I think this is majority of the things I have to say. So at this point, I'll call on my colleague David. He's also on the call because I told him about the webinar and what I'm trying to achieve with this. So I told him to also add some points to the things I've said so that we can all be encouraged and get the value that we need. So David, so what are your thoughts on the things I've said so far?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you so much, Segun. Hi, I can see some familiar names on the call. Hi, you guys. Hope you guys are doing well. I think we can catch up some other time, but let's just focus on why we are here. So I'll just take it from. I'm going to share a lot of briefly within the time frame because we're going to take some question and all of that. But I will say some raw thing here and also say something based on my level of experience and exposure. So just try and see how you can relate it to your own situation and where you currently are at your career level. So I will take it from where Thiago mentioned that you need to have more than one CV. Over time, people that I personally have mentored, I always advise them to have at least a minimum of 5 CVs for each of the roles, several roles, because like he mentioned, the job market is saturated. If you have done a customer service job before, and you can leverage any of the experience, any of the tasks you've done as an experience. So there are a lot of areas you can explore if you have done customer service or any administrative job before. As a customer service expert or customer service officer, you could as well function as a customer experience lead or associate. You could work as a technical support officer, quality assurance, learning and delivery, client relationship officer or manager, depends. Even customer success. All of these, there are some a diversion at the edge. So all of these are options you could look into. Workforce analyst, community manager. So instead of just focusing on just customer support role, you could develop CVs. Maybe all you need, for example, let's just take practical example. So if I want to apply, I have an experience in customer support and I want to apply for a customer experience uh, role, which you know is a difference. All I need to is just upskill myself. I know how to basically develop or design a journey map. If you know how to improve on a touch point, design a journey map, you already 80%, 90% into the customer experience role, because that is like a major task in the customer experience function. Yes, you could take LinkedIn courses, you could seek a mentor on how to do all of that. So you could pivot into any of these roles. So never say that uh, you are majorly focusing on one role. You can't do that at this time. You should have a minimum of five CV, three, four, five, depends, and always tailor your CV to the role you're applying. That's why Segun is there. I think he does that for a lot, so you can always consult him in that regard. Myself, I won't have time for that. I'm always very busy. And also, what else? What else? What else should I add? And also, yeah, you talked about LinkedIn optimization. Yes, this time, if you know you are already at a critical point, you are already what I put it. Okay, direct. You have to limit sometimes you spend on other social media platform and spend more time on LinkedIn. Even me, as a level I am in my career, I try to ensure that I spend more time on LinkedIn. So I have three apps that I always go to: Twitter, LinkedIn, and what's the other one? Okay, TikTok. TikTok is just for me to relax. I love that. So you have to limit that. You have to spend more time on LinkedIn. Now, most of the recruiter, he mentioned that they don't even pay to paste job. They post it on their wall, on their timeline. So more like me, over 90% of my connections are HR and recruiters. I noticed that they don't even have to go to the job portal to place an advert for a job. They just put it on their timeline. So if you're the followers, you have to get to see it, and the earlier you see it and apply, the better chance you have of securing the job. So make sure that most of the times you spend on social media at this critical time, it should be more on LinkedIn. That's after you have optimized your LinkedIn, you are very frequent on LinkedIn, then send friend requests to these recruiters, go through. Anytime you want to take a break from work or whatever you're doing, relax, just sift through the LinkedIn timeline and you see some of those job posts. So that should be very, very, very important. Then also, you could also volunteer in maybe your church, your community. All these are skills you could put in your CV. So if you want to pivot into a community manager role, there are churches right now that give people opportunity to like volunteer into like maybe social media, whatever aspect of it, or community manager. So this could also be an area you can leverage in your CV optimization or in the job role you want to like uh, uh, apply for. So make sure that your CV is refreshed and revamped. Make sure that your LinkedIn is optimized. Make sure you are engaging. You don't have to share so much. You don't share what you don't know. Share on your experience so far, your career. You spent 2, 3 years. Just write something about how your journey has been, how you even found yourself in customer support, what do you enjoy in doing, why do you enjoy working in customer support, or what is your next career progression you are moving into. These are some engaging topics you could pick up and also engage on your LinkedIn. The key thing is the visibility. You just want to be visible. You want to see, because the more engaging you are on your timeline, the more people are able to see you and all of that. Yeah. So basically, that. Any other thing I need to add? Yes, he talked about continuous learning. You must. See, I told Shegun there was a time, even while we were at TP, most people don't know. Yeah, continuous learning. You don't ever put yourself in a situation where you don't have option. I think Chishego can remember that very well.
Yes, I remember.
Uh, and I won't talk more about that because of your level of experience. For me, the reason why I made those statements to them then was Even when I was working at TP, most people don't know I was working two jobs at them. So I'm not saying that you should do two jobs, but I'm just saying that developing skills, there are some things you can do while you're even in the 9 to 5. There are some people are very entrepreneurial inclined. You could start up your shop online and something like this. Don't ever put yourself in a situation where you don't have an option. What that means is you have to upskill yourself. You have to like continuous learning, keep improving, keep developing, keep making that move. As in, don't just stay how you have been before. Just keep improving on yourself. And when situation happen like this, you just analyze what is remaining. What do I have? What skills do I have? So you have to do that. What are the trans? You also talk about transferable skills. That is the advantage of working in customer support operations. You've seen how QA evaluate your scores. You've seen how operations run. You can learn more about this and evolve into this area. So what interests me, even telesay, you could advise somebody that has worked in TP for over 2 years could lead a telesay role. They're looking for a telesay lead. What do they do in telesay? Target is oriented. So you read all about this. You go to LinkedIn, you optimize, you upskill, you learn about them, and open yourself up for this role. Yes, I think. Yeah, I just wanted to keep that in. I think. I know most of us still have questions, so maybe we'll give opportunity for questions, and that could
All right.
like bring us further. Yes.
All right. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much,
much.
David, for those wonderful insights. Okay. Just before I open up the floor for questions, I also have one of my colleagues or former colleagues on the call. His name is Jonathan. And how will I will say it? He is my mentor when it comes to this type of career development stuff because he used to also review CVs, and all that LinkedIn organizations in the past. So, he encouraged me to go into the business kind of. So I also asked him to join the call too, so that he can, give us some insights on, some of the things I said and how I can advise, professionals on how they can, you know, help their job search. So Jonathan, at this juncture, I wanted to ask you if you had any insights based on the conversation you've had so far.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Segun, as always. Um, well, to be honest, yourself and David have actually hit the nail on the head. For me, I'm really bent on LinkedIn. I always say that. I said all of the places I've worked, I think 99% of the places I got them via LinkedIn. And that visibility was because I kept, updating. I kept upskilling to say, right? I started even as a contract staff then in customer service in my career. If you go through my profile, you see the breakthrough and all the places I've worked, So it wasn't like an easy task. I had to do a lot of updates, had to do a lot of training. At a point, I also had to further, in education. Just what, I was just listening to David and it was as if he was playing, a tape about how it was. So just an encouragement. I just don't want, say too much because everything has actually been said, right? To be visible, you have to make yourself attractive. And how do you make yourself attractive? It's just like going to the market. You see a lot of products, but which one comes to mind? Which one gets your attention? It's that one that has been packaged, and they are giving you values, So you have to go on LinkedIn, you know, make sure your CV is up to date, get some skills to update. If you want to update your LinkedIn, you can actually reach out to Shegu as well. Shegu can assist to build up your CV and your CV and LinkedIn as well, tell you the keywords to follow, the recruiters to also engage with, and everything. I think if you do these first steps, right, that will really help. Then finally, it's beyond just being available on LinkedIn, right? When you are available and then you are being poached or you are being reached out to or you apply for a job, how ready are you for the interview? So I think some of us really have to go back and practice interviews, how to prepare for interviews, how to respond professionally, how to respond. You don't just go and start. I've done a lot of interviews for candidates, and to be honest, the way they even from the first 2 minutes, I already know the candidate I want to, recruits. So it goes a long way as well. The way you speak, your communication skills. If you don't have good communication skills, you can actually go on YouTube. You could listen to a lot of people. They talk about communications. They talk about how to sit in for interviews, how you prepare for interviews. You realize that when you have done at about maybe 10 interviews, right, that tension is already off. So there's no interview you're going for and you don't really have to prepare again because it gives you an experience. Yeah. So I'll just like to stop here. Let me not take so much time. So thank you, Segun. Over to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for the insights. Okay. I would like to take questions at this point. Do you understand? So I know that some people have questions specific to them. Okay. So if you have any question, please you can raise your hand. Then once you raise your hand, I'll call your name and then you can speak. Okay, in the meantime, I've actually dropped the LinkedIn of David and of Jonathan on the chat. So please, I encourage you to follow them, check out their profile. You might see one or two things that are on their profile that you might want to like add to yours. So please try to follow them and check out their profile. So yeah, does anyone have any question? Okay. So if anyone does not have a question, let me see. Okay, Victor is still on the call. So Victor, do you have any addition? Is there anything else that you'd like to maybe add to what my colleagues have said? Maybe just in about 4 minutes. Anything? Okay, okay, maybe he's not on the call here. Okay, all right. So please, just like I said earlier, please let's try and follow David and Jonathan. That I dropped their LinkedIn profile. If you have any questions, maybe relating to maybe where they worked before, or maybe you applied to an organization and you notice that on their profile, they have worked there before, and you need some insights on how you can maybe prepare for the interview. Please kindly reach out to them on LinkedIn. I'm sure they'll be very, very, very happy to assist you. So, and I think Jonathan also mentioned something about interviewing. So, yes, you might do all this work and land the interview and all that. And at the point of the interview, you're not saying the right things or doing the things, saying and not behaving in a way that you are giving the recruiter confidence that you can do the job. So interview preparation, that's a different class on its own. And I have a video on YouTube about that, where me and one of my former colleagues, we discussed extensively on how you can prepare for interviews and things of that nature. So please, if you need the video for that, please you can reach out to me privately. I can send it to you. So I think that video and some of the things we sent there will be very beneficial to you for someone that is preparing for an interview. Okay. So please, if you need that, please kindly reach out to me privately. So just before we round up, so please, I want you to take this nuggets and everything that we've said to heart. I know it might be a lot to process, but please just take out the individual things that pertains to you, and most especially the points that David mentioned about, diversifying the things that you can do, like community manager. That's a very good one. I didn't even think of that. So please do not limit yourself. Don't put yourself in the box that's okay, because this is the experience you have and this is what you study. This is the only thing you can do. No, there are different things you can actually do. Okay. So, and please also, if you need help with your resume, if you need help with your LinkedIn optimization, or you just need a consultation personally on what you can do and in terms of next steps, so please reach out to me personally and I'll be able to advise on that. All right. So, thank you all so much. This session is going to be recorded so that we can have a replay